Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday. I hope you all have had a good week. If not, it's the end of the week. Thank God for that. And it's about to be the weekend. And the Blues are in action tomorrow afternoon, of course, against Brighton and Hove Albion at the Amex Stadium. Away from home, of course, an absolutely massive game for Everton. A massive game for Marco Silva. And we're here to preview it today. Now, I do apologise that I'm a little bit early today. I never usually do streams this early. I'm never usually finished work by this time. However, finished work a little bit earlier today and I thought, you know what, we'll do the stream a little bit earlier because I've actually got two streams to do today. We've got this, which is obviously the game preview to that game tomorrow afternoon against Brighton, and then we've got the press conference reaction, Marco Silva's press conference reaction, a little bit later on today in a couple of hours time. We're going to be going through everything that Marco Silva discussed in yesterday's pre-game press conference. Obviously, his pre-game press conferences are usually on Fridays, so usually it would make more sense that we'd do it today. However, I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday and it literally just come up and I thought, shit, it's now. So I covered it all over on our Twitter. If you don't follow us, make sure you go and follow us. It's at Mighty Blues YT. It's down there somewhere, wherever my finger's pointing. Go and follow us over there and you'll have seen all of the quotes covered. But of course, we'll do the press conference reaction like we do every week, delving into a little bit deeper into what Marco Silva discussed yesterday. The biggest thing, which I think we're going to definitely talk about in the preview, I'm not going to go too much into the press conference in this stream because obviously we'll do the reaction in a couple of hours. But the biggest thing that we're going to have to talk about in today's stream, obviously in the preview now, is obviously that Yerry Mina still remains a massive doubt for tomorrow's game. Now, obviously, Marco Silva had his press conference yesterday and he did explain that, you know, Yerry Mina is still a doubt. He hasn't trained fully with the first team yet since returning from his injury that he picked up last week against West Ham. However, he did say we've still got, you know, the rest of today, which obviously is Thursday, and we still had today as well. So he said tomorrow, but meaning obviously today being Friday. So Yerry Mina still had a couple of days to regain his fitness and to obviously shake off that injury. However, he still did remain a massive doubt at midday yesterday. So we'll obviously talk about that a little bit more today because for me, one of the biggest things that I want to talk about in this game preview is how Marco Silva should not change anything going into tomorrow's game. He shouldn't change the starting 11. He shouldn't change the tactics. He shouldn't change the mentality. Absolutely nothing should change from the side that went out and beat West Ham so convincingly last week. Now, I actually seen Charlie Nicholas, I read something about Charlie Nicholas on Sky saying we barely breezed past, or we barely got past West Ham the other day, and that proves that those Sky, sports pundits and presenters, or whatever you want to call them, they talk absolute shite. They don't watch the games. They don't understand football, and very clearly he didn't watch Everton play West Ham last weekend because we absolutely obliterated them. And like we said, on another day it could have been 4, 5 or 6. West Ham were very lucky to come away with only a 2-0 defeat. So like I said, we're not going to talk about Charlie Nicholas and Sky Sports today. We're going to talk about the Blues and we're going to talk about why this is such an important game for Marco Silva, because we knew last week was a massively important game for Marco Silva, because if he'd have lost that, I think he would have been in contention of losing his job this week. We didn't. We went out, we won so convincingly. The team that he put out performed fantastically well. The midfield that he put out performed fantastically well. Richarlison playing up front done well as well. So I think it's important that we now take that form, we take that sort of motivation into tomorrow's game against Brighton, because these are the type of games that we need to be winning. You know, we discussed earlier on in the week about how the biggest issue at the start of the season from, last season and from this season as well was away form. Obviously, the issue of away form got sort of mixed up in all the other issues that have been going on over the last couple of weeks and months. But the biggest issue, the overriding issue throughout the entirety of last season and throughout the start of this season was away form. So we really need a big performance tomorrow afternoon, and we really need a big win, because this is a game that can really it can captivate us. It can take us forward massively if we get a decent win and a really good performance. And there's no reason why we shouldn't. We're playing a team that, let's be honest, aren't as good as West Ham, aren't going to pose as much of a threat as West Ham. The only difference is that we're away from home. If we were at Goodison Park tomorrow, we'd be expecting the same starting 11, we'd be expecting the same tactics, and we'd be expecting the same type of result and performance as we did last week. Because we're playing away from home, there's a little bit of a feeling that it may be different, and it shouldn't be different. It really shouldn't be different. We should go out there with the intent to want to win. We should go out there with the intent to constantly pepper the goalkeeper with opportunities, constantly break their midfield down, get through the defence, add pressure, and consistently be putting pressure on the opposition. A little bit like we did against West Ham away from home last season. It was one of the only away games last season that we went out there with a positive mindset from the off, and we went out there thinking, you know what, we can win this game. we can win this game, and we're going to go out and win this game. And we were 2-0 up within about the first 20 minutes. And again, that was another game that could have ended 3 or 4-0. We need to have that same mentality going into tomorrow. We can't have the mentality that we're away from home and that, you know, they can be a decent side and they can be a decent counter-attacking side. Our mentality should be, we are better than these. We're a better team. We've got better players. Let's go and perform exactly like we did last week. Whether Marco Silva will give that team talk to the players, we don't know. But that for me is exactly how it should go. Jonathan says, hello, Jonathan, hope you're doing well. Ziad says, would love to see you doing Everton career mode. It's something I'll look at definitely doing in the future. I did do one for a little bit last year, but then the recording sort of cocked up and it all went down the pan. But maybe it's something I'll look at doing. And Ziad said, who's going to get sacked first, Ollie, Silva or Poch? I don't know. We'll have to see how this weekend's results go. Cold says, what has Silva done? What has he done? And Kadir says, hello, Brighton 1, Everton 1. I can see that. Hernandez says, hello from the USA, mate. Hello, I hope you're doing well. Big thanks for tuning in from America. How are you feeling about Holgate potentially starting? It's something that we'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, obviously, when we go through the predicted starting 11, which is basically the starting 11 that played last week, other than, you know, Mason Holgate being in there. I think it's one of them things that we can't avoid if Yerry Mina's not fit, if Yerry Mina's still injured, if Yerry Mina hasn't got back up to match fitness yet. Obviously, we knew that even from yesterday, regardless of the fact that he was still a doubt and still shaking off an injury, even if he was back at fitness, having shaken off that injury and back to gain fitness yesterday, he still hasn't trained with the team for a couple of days, so he's still going to be behind. In that case, Mason Holgate obviously has to step in. There's nobody else that can step in. I've seen some people on Twitter saying Lewis Gibson or Morgan Feeney. They're realistically not going to get a chance. That, the best they'll probably get is a spot on the bench. So, it's up to Mason Holgate now to step into this team and take his opportunity if that is the case. If Yerry Mina's unavailable to play tomorrow, Mason has to step in and Mason has to make the most of his opportunity because there's competition for places in this team. There really isn't. Centre-back is a position that we massively failed in the summer. Marcel Brands failed Marco Silva. We should have gone out and we should have strengthened in centre-back. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Whether that was with Kurt Zouma or somebody else, I think we put far too many eggs in Kurt Zouma's basket. And when it became apparent that we weren't going to get that deal over the line, we struggled to find anybody else. And there was rumours about spending stupid amounts of money on average players like Marcus Rocco. We didn't bring a centre-half in and we've left ourselves a little bit stuck. Obviously, Yerry Mina has picked up an injury now. We've been quite lucky so far this season in terms of the centre-backs not picking up any injuries or fitness issues. Yerry Mina's now picked up a little injury that may see him out for tomorrow's game. It's nothing too serious, but regardless, he mightn't be able to play tomorrow. And now it's Mason Holgate's opportunity to step in and take it because, we were talking last week about how if Tom Davies starts against West Ham, he's got to step in and he's got to take the opportunity. Very similar with Iwobi if he plays in the number 10, very similar to the way we're talking about Sidibe as well. And all of those players did step in and they took their opportunity last week and they were absolutely fantastic. So Mason Holgate's got to step in and do the same if he's got to play through Mina's injury. And you know what, if Mina isn't 100% fit, if Mina's still struggling, if Mina's not quite feeling it on Saturday, I'll put Mason in and I'd say to Mason, this is your chance now, because if you don't play well, the likelihood is Yerry Mina's going to be fit by next week, so he's going to come back in and you're going to come back out. And then at that point, if Mason hasn't played well, then Marco Silva's going to be looking at the situation and he's going to go, well, it's two or 3 months till January. When Mason's had to come in, he hasn't performed, so we're going to definitely look at a centre-half. Whereas if Mason Holgate steps in, puts in a fantastic performance, Yerry Mina's arguably been our best player this season. Michael Keane obviously gets better when he's got confidence and can be a really good centre-half. Then there's more competition there for places, and maybe Marco Silva will look at it and go, you know what, we don't necessarily need a centre-half in January because we've got Mason Holgate there who's ready to step in. For me, I'm not too sure Mason Holgate's Premier League quality centre-back. I think he's got the physical stats to it, and I think he's very good on the ball. I just think it's positioning that lets Mason down. I think sometimes he's caught a lot. In situations that he really can't be caught in, and that was why he done quite well when he was pushed over to right back for West Brom when he went on loan last season. However, if he's got to play, he's got to play. I don't think it's a case of whether we want him to come in or whether we need him to come in. If he needs to come in, then he's got to come in and he's got to step his game up and he has to play well. Otherwise, he's going to be back out and his opportunity's lost. Burnley Fan TV says, I'm not here at 5, so I only have a few minutes. Thank you for joining in anyway. Cornwall Blue says Brighton 1 and Everton 3. I hope so, mate. I hope so. Burnley Fan TV says I'm off to play at Salford soon. There you go. Good. Smashed it. Lovely. If you're enjoying the team so far, please do leave a like, by the way. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. He also says, who is Richie? Richarlison. I just couldn't fit it in the frame. Well, I could fit it in the frame, but then the mix of the white. It's Richarlison, to answer your question. Mike says, agree, Cam, same team, same result. Silver is listening to the team. Ziad says, Ollie out. Carl says, hello, Cam, starting 11, Pickford, Sidibe, Keane, Mina, Dean, Gomez, Davis, Richie, Iwobi, Bernard, Keane. I'd like that starting 11, but I personally, if Yerry Mina's fit, exactly the same starting 11s that played against West Ham. Why change a winning team? Why mess about with a side that went out and performed so well last week? Carl says, but I do think that'd be a fantastic team with Moise Keane in there. Carl says that Tom Davies is the captain of this side. Tom Davies is the future captain of Everton Football Club. What a bloke he is. And he also says Yerry Mina got an inform on FIFA. I bought him. Well, he did, and rightly so as well. He was fantastic the other day. Lewis says it's annoying Mina's out, but Mason Holgate is class. Fair enough. We don't officially know Yerry Mina's out yet. Marco Silva said in his pre-game press conference yesterday that he's still a doubt. He hasn't trained with the first team for a couple of days through that injury. However, he did also say that, we had the rest of Thursday and all of today for him to, get fitness tested and, take part in training. So he may be available tomorrow. We don't know that officially yet. We'll talk about Marco Silva's pre-game press conference a little bit later on. We're going to do a separate stream to that at around 6 o'clock, so don't forget to join us for that one. And Jonathan says, Mason Holgate is championship quality in my opinion. Fair enough. Listen, I think Mason's very, very young. I think he's got a lot to learn. I think he's got a lot of potential. Like I said, whether he can step in now and do a job for us, I don't know. If he's going to have to at the end of the day. If Yerry Mina's not fit, there's no other option. He's going to have to do it. So maybe it's time for, maybe it's an opportunity like this that Mason needs to really, really snatch it up. Maybe if he, if Mason's playing in the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup and he knows that it's, it's a one-off game and he's going to be taken out the next week, for either Mina or Keane, maybe he needs an opportunity where, we haven't really got much else going for us. We need him to come in for him to go, actually, I need to step my game up here, because if he's coming in for a Carabao Cup game or an FA Cup game, he's probably going to think, you know what, there's not too much pressure here, because either way I'm probably going to be out at the weekend for the Premier League game anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if he's coming in for the Premier League game and he's being told, right, this is all on you now because we've got nobody else, then maybe he'll soak up that pressure well. Kanasuken Kennedy says, must win this cap. Yep, 100% we should. Lewis says, amazing videos, mate, well done. Thank you very much, Lewis, really, really do appreciate that. Carl says, Andre Gomez is one of the most technically gifted midfielders in the league. Reminds me of Arteta. He is a carrier with the ball, makes this team attack more. Spot on, couldn't agree more. Jonathan says, I'd love to get Stones in January. So would I, but I don't think he'd come back. And Arteta, when he said, hello, Cam, lad. Hello, I hope you're doing well. So anyway, a little bit about Brighton before we go into talking about our predicted starting 11. Brighton currently sitting 16th in the Premier League. 2 wins, 3 draws and 4 losses. 9 points. 1 below Everton in the Premier League. A point below and a position below as well. So again, haven't had the greatest start to the season. We know from ourselves and our form that, we haven't been fantastic either. So we're in and around about the same position, which for me... Again, no disrespect to Brighton and no disrespect to any, Brighton fans that are watching or or listening in, but for me, it's just not good enough. The fact that we're sitting here and we're talking about, Everton taking on Brighton in the Premier League and we're saying that we're in and around about the same position and we're in similar form, it's not good enough for me. Nevertheless, it's the case. It is what it is. That's where we are at the minute. Like I said, 9 points, 1 position below and 1 point below Everton currently in the Premier League. Last season, obviously, we had that 1-0 defeat at the Amex, that stupid deflected goal that bounced off Andre Gomez off a corner, and even though their player was standing 350 yards offside, it didn't matter because it come off Andre Gomez. And we couldn't get back into the game again. Another away defeat, another game that we looked at and we thought, realistically, we should have gone there and we should have got the 3 points and we should have put in a much, much better performance. I remember it being quite a poor performance, not just the result and not just the lack of goals, but the performance in itself being quite poor. Sorry, got a little bit of a frog in my throat. I hope I'm not starting to get ill. It's my birthday on Sunday. Bollocks to that. So anyway, like I said, Brighton near enough in and around about the same position as us, 1 point below us in the Premier League. We need to win this game. There's absolutely no doubt about it. This is a must-win game. Marco Silva come out in his press conference and he said this is a must-win game, but I don't think it needs him to say that. I don't think it needs any of us to say that. We need to go out and we need to start getting points on the board away from home, because it's all well and good winning games at football at Goodison Park, and it's all well and good putting in performances like we did last week, but if we can't go and do it away from home against average Premier League sides, with all due respect, an average Premier League side, then we're massively, massively in trouble, because we've already lost too many points at home this season for us to be able to say, well, the away form doesn't really matter. It massively matters. We lost points at home in silly games. Sheffield United, obviously, even in terms of away games, Burnley, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, we've lost too many points against average sides this season, and we need to go out there and we need to start getting our asses into gear. We got our asses into gear massively last Saturday with a fantastic performance and a fantastic win, and now it's time to do it again this weekend, Brighton are a team that can attack and can put the burners on when they want to, but we've got more quality on the pitch, let's be honest, and we should be going out there and we should be getting the win. So anyway, to go through my predicted starting 11, like I said, it's pretty much the same starting 11 as the one that defeated West Ham last week. I've gone for Jordan Pickford in goal, Luca Dean at left back, absolutely fantastic last weekend. Mason Holgate and Michael Keane in the centre of the defence. Mason Holgate being the only change to this team again, like we mentioned earlier, due to a possible injury to Yerry Mina. If Yerry Mina's 100% fit and he can come in and he can play, then Yerry Mina's in there. But if not, obviously Mason will step in. Djibril Sidibe keeps his place at right back for me. Absolutely fantastic last weekend. Not one thing I can fault him on. Thought he put a really, really tough performance in, a really, really good performance, and a performance that's worthy of keeping his place. I don't see why Seamus Coleman should come back into this team and get his place in the starting 11 back. He wasn't performing fantastically anyway, and he's let us down by getting himself a red card and a suspension. So Djibril Sidibe keeps his place. Exactly the same midfield as it was last week. Andre Gomez in there next to Tom Davis in the centre of the midfield. I don't want to say central defensive midfield, so I'm just going to say central midfield. Alex Iwobi in the 10 as well. Again, another situation that I think Marco Silva may or may not change. Obviously, Gylfi Sigurdsson coming on towards the back end of last week's game scored an absolutely fantastic finish. Let's not take anything away from Gylfi. It was a brilliant finish. There's been a lot of training videos come out of Gylfi Sigurdsson over the last couple of days of him scoring goals in training and scoring similar goals as to the one that he scored last week. But for me, the movement of Alex Iwobi purely is enough for him to remain in this team. The space he allowed for Bernard, the space that he allowed for Walcott, the space that he allowed for Davis and Gomez last weekend is more than enough for him to stay in the team. Yes, Gylfi Sigurdsson can pick the ball up, and yes, Gylfi Sigurdsson can hit it from 20, 30, 35 yards and score an absolute worldie. I just don't think he moves enough, and I don't think he's done an awful lot this season for him to keep his position or definitely come back into the team after what was such a quality performance by Alex Iwobi. Okay, on the ball, he wasn't fantastic. Okay, in front of goal he wasn't fantastic, but off the ball, his movement, his overall play, I think was absolutely second to none on Saturday, and that's why he keeps his place for me. Front three remains the same as well. Bernard on the left, Richarlison up front, and Theo Walcott on the right. Bernard absolutely fantastic again. Really, really clever goal, of course, to get us 1-0 up against West Ham last week. Theo Walcott, I thought, done fantastically. Very unlucky to not put the ball in the back of the net himself with an absolute stunning goal. And Richarlison, I thought, although he didn't get a goal, although he didn't score, although he wasn't directly involved in much, I thought, again, a little bit similar to Alex Iwobi, his movement off the ball and his ability to drag defenders out of position and make it really, really tough for defenders really, really benefited us last week, and it allowed players like Alex Iwobi, it allowed players like Bernard and Theo Walcott to get that space that they had and to create as many opportunities as they did. Richarlison obviously did come close last week, hit the post on one occasion, but I think it's more the work that he done off the ball that means he should keep his place in the starting 11. At the end of the day, in the Premier League, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not done an awful lot this season, and neither's Moise Keane. So I think the biggest thing when we're talking about the starting 11 and when we're talking about the team is that we're not just looking at the fact that individual players played well last week and Richarlison played well and Iwobi played well and Bernard played well, Walcott, etc. We're looking at the fact that the whole team as a unit were fantastic. They really, really were fantastic. And for me, I'm a very, very big believer in you don't change what's right. You don't change a winning team. I think Marco Silva's got a big task this weekend to prove Evertonians, that he can go out there and he can play the exact same team away from home. He confirmed in his press conference that Morgan Schneider and Fabian Delph are back to fitness, which obviously is over there in the little news section. Should they come back in? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why would you bring in two defensive midfielders into a side that performed so well, so positively and so attacking last week? We're playing Brighton away from home. The only difference to this game as it was last week is we're playing an opposition that are slightly worse off in the table and it's away from home. That's no excuse to then change the system around more. If he changed the system around now and all of a sudden he puts Delph back in there, or he puts Schneider back in there, or he puts Dominic Calvert-Lewin back up front and he takes Walcott out and we get beat, then it's almost like he's trying to get the same performances out of the team that weren't performing 3 or 4 weeks ago as the one that performed last week. It's almost like getting a toaster, putting in your toast every single day for a week, it being absolutely shit toast, going, you know what, I'm going to get a new toaster here, getting a new toaster, putting toast in, going, that's belter toaster, and then the next day putting the bread in the old toaster and going, right, now you do what you're doing, and expecting a different result from the old system and the old toaster. It ain't going to work. We need to play the exact same system. The tactics need to be the same, and the team needs to be as similar as it can be to that one that beat West Ham last week. Obviously, if there's injuries, it's understandable. If Yerry Mina can't come in because he's injured, that's fair enough. But nobody else should change. Coleman shouldn't come back in because Sidibe's done nothing wrong. Morgan Schneiderlin, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Fabian Delph, neither of those should come back in because the midfield three of Iwobi, Davis and Gomez were absolutely fantastic last week, and it was a breath of fresh air. It was something that we massively needed. We need a midfield with energy, with urgency and with positive thinking, and that's what those three players gave us last week. Morgan Schneiderlin, Fabian Delph and Gylfi Sigurdsson, I like those players. I've got nothing particularly against them. I don't think they're bad players, but they don't give you that urgency in the midfield as to that those three give us last week, and that's exactly what we need in games like this against Brighton away from home, where we need to be attacking, we need to be constantly peppering the goal, and we need to be constantly pressuring their midfield and their defence. We don't need a defensive minded players. We don't need the players that are going to pass the ball sideways and pass the ball backwards and hold out for a point away from home. We massively need a win tomorrow, and it's a win or nothing. It really is a win or nothing for Marco Silva. It was the exact same situation last week, and Marco Silva should feel the exact same pressure as he did last week, and he should be in the exact same mindset as he was last week, as to go, right, forget that we just put in a fantastic performance against West Ham. We're here now, we're playing Brighton, and we need to do the exact same. Positive, forward thinking, urgent, attacking, full of pace, full of want to score goals and enjoying them. You could tell last week the players were enjoying themselves. They were playing with a smile on their face. They were really playing with enjoyment, and we need to be doing that again tomorrow. There's no need to change this system. There's no need to change the team. Unless there's an injury, the only change that I will realistically allow to sort of go over my head and not worry me is if Yerry Mina comes out and Mason Holgate steps in, and that's because we know Yerry Mina's, injured and potentially mightn't be involved. Any other change, if Seamus Coleman comes back in, I'll be massively disappointed. If Sigurdsson comes back in, regardless of the goal, I'll be massively disappointed. If Schneiderlin or Delph come back in, I'll be massively disappointed as well. So that's my predicted starting 11. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I feel like, well, a lot of us will have the same predictions. A lot of us will have the same hopes for tomorrow's game, as that Marco Silva plays the exact same team or as close to that team as he can for tomorrow's game. If you're enjoying this team, please do leave a like. By the way, it means a massive amount to me. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button as well. Get the stream shared as well. Let's get as many people as we can in the stream to discuss tomorrow's game. Of course, we'll still have another stream today. We're going to do the press conference reaction a little bit later on as well, so don't forget to join us for that around 6:15. Where are we? Arteta Money says Mason Holgate for me will never be an Everton centre half. Awful positioning and not clinical in his tackles for me. Would like to be proven wrong. There you go. And that's what we all want, don't we? We've all got opinions, but we all want to say, if it's a negative opinion, prove me wrong. I'll be more than happy to be proved wrong. To be honest, sorry, my throat's killing. I don't necessarily disagree with the positioning thing. I don't necessarily disagree with the tackling either. I think he needs to be a lot better in both of those elements of his game. Carl says the problem with players like Holgate and Morgan and Davis under Silva came in. They've got more performances under Fat Sam, and they wasn't as disciplined. That's the problem. Fair enough. Lewis says, today Marco Silva said Mason Holgate will play versus Brighton. He said that he's ready to play if he needs to come in. He said that we still don't 100% know about Yerry Mina yet, but he did say Mason is ready to play if need be. Carl says, I think 2-1 Richie and Iwobi. I hope so. Jonathan says, I'd get Nunes from Bilbao in January because he's only 19, but he's a talent, and Bilbao are good at getting decent centre-backs. He is a talent. There you go. Hopefully somebody that Marcel Brands is scouting. Arteta Money says, happy birthday for Sunday, Cam. Mate, hopefully you'll have 2 things to celebrate over the weekend. I hope so, mate. I really hope so. That's what Everton can do for me for my birthday. Just get us the 3 points tomorrow. Get us the win tomorrow. That's all that matters to me. Carl says we don't need centre-backs. We have Mina and Keane. But if one of those gets injured, then we massively need a replacement centre-half, especially if Mason Holgate isn't good enough. Jonathan says we do because if we are weak if one gets injured. I agree. Carl says don't want us going out and spending over 20-30 million on players who are sitting on the bench waiting for injuries. Fair enough. Mike says, alright mate, I hope I'm wrong, but it's going to be more of the same. He will probably drop Alex Iwobi and we will get beat like we did last season. I hope not. I don't think he's got a case to drop Alex Iwobi, to be honest with you. So I hope not. Carl says, Alex Iwobi bossed the West Ham game. I agree. Jonathan says, bring Schneiderlin on the last 10 minutes of the game. If we're winning and we just need to hold it out, then I've got no problem with bringing Schneiderlin on the last 10 minutes of the game and being a little bit defensive and holding the ball up. I've got absolutely no issue with that. The issue I have is doing that from the start of the game when, there's a very clear chance that we could go and we could be a little bit positive and we could go out there and get the 3 points. Mike says Marco is the old toaster, mate. Carl says, I'm more optimistic now in Silva. Hope he plays or will be in the cam role. I hope so. Oddran says, I hate the way we have momentum and then we just pass it back. I agree. And he also says, I think Richie should go on the right and Dom up front. Dom and Keane up front, or Dom or Keane up front. Fair enough. And Jonathan says, Keane needs to play more, I reckon. I think that if Keane misses out tomorrow because Marco Silva goes to play the same starting 11, I'd be absolutely happy. And then maybe bring Keane in midweek against Watford in obviously the cup, where he can really have his opportunity to shine. There's a fly flying about. It just flew in the view of the camera. If you're here last week, you'll see the issues that I had with flies. It absolutely pissed me off for the entire team. So let's hope that. I don't know where that went then, but I missed. Anyway, I missed. Carl says Keane needs to play more. Yes, but when he's played, he's been shit. I think it's going to take Keane time to settle in. I think it's going to take him time to mature and get used to the system and get used to the league. But, you know, in order to do that, he does need more game time. I do agree. So like we said, for me, it should be the same approach as last week. There's no excuse to not approach this game in the same way as we did last week. You know, Marco Silva's very clearly put out a team last week that went out and put in a really good performance and got a really good result out of a game against let's be honest, the top 10 side. We're now playing a team that are going to be, you know, struggling this season, have struggled so far this season, a little bit like ourselves. So we need to go out there and we need to play in the exact same fashion. And hopefully we can go out and get the 3 points. It's a massive game for Marco Silva tomorrow. We need an away win. We really need an away win. I can't stress enough how desperate we are for an away 3 points this season, because we really need to start getting our asses into gear. And Aldan says, if Keane scores, he'll get more confidence. He will. I think it's just a case of Moise Keane getting that first goal, and then, you know, I think his confidence will rocket through the roof. Anyway, that's going to do it for the first team of today. If you have enjoyed, please do leave a like. It means a massive amount to me. Like I said, don't forget to join us in around about 2 hours time, 6:15, for the press conference reaction to Marco Silva's pre-game press conference ahead of tomorrow's game. Massive game. Doesn't need to be said by me, doesn't need to be said by anyone. We know it's a massive game. We need the 3 points. Nothing less is acceptable for me. So let's hope that Marco Silva can set out the team to go out there, play positively, play with pace, play with urgency, and go out and get the win. Big thanks to everybody for watching. Please do hit the like button if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It really does mean a massive amount to me. Get the stream shared, get the video shared, and like I said, don't forget to join us in about 2 hours time at 6:15 for the press conference reaction to Marco Silva's pre-game press conference for tomorrow's game. We'll talk more about the Eddie Mina injury. We'll also talk a little bit about VAR, and we'll talk about Brighton and Hove Albion's performances this season as well. Big thanks to everybody for watching. Carl says wants us to get Wesley over Keane. Fair enough. And Shabba says, don't worry, Cam, there's no flies on you, La. Thank you very much. And Oddan says, later with a heart. Thank you very much, Oddan. Thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments, as per usual. Really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed, please do hit the like button. It means a massive amount to me. Don't forget to join us in a couple of hours' time for the press conference reaction. Makes it to be a really interesting one. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.